Welcome to the session. Thank you for making the time this afternoon. I know it's getting busy and busier this semester, so good on you for taking some extra time to learn what is, I assume, a new tool for you, which, as you can see on my screen, is Mendeley. So this session is all about using Mendeley to manage your research. Just a few quick words before we get started. If you're looking for CCL credit, just a reminder, you do need to be online for at least 80% of the event in order to be eligible. Online and preferably paying close attention as well. We do know sometimes people are hit by connection problems, so don't worry if your connection temporarily drops out. We are able to work out your overall attendance in the attendance report, and I'll show you that in a second. Do please, I know I have disabled your ability to unmute yourself, and that's really just so to make sure we don't get any background noise during the session, because there are quite a lot of people online now. But if you do want to ask a question at any point, please do throw your question into the chat at any time. You don't have to wait for me to say, are there any questions, before you throw in your question into the chat. Because I do have the workshop assistant, who you can see there, Joanna. Hello again, Joanna. She's helping out this afternoon. So she will keep a close eye on the chat to make sure that any questions, if there are any, that they are not missed. And she'll also be putting links to the various things that I show you into the chat for your easy reference. At the end, there'll be a 1-minute feedback survey, so please don't immediately disconnect at the end of the session. There will be a brief feedback survey, and your feedback is super duper important to us. So please do stick around for just 1 more minute at the end so you can give your feedback. Speaking of the CCL attendance stuff, I just do want to reiterate that, because that is an important point, and I see a few people have just entered the meeting. So if you've just come in, and just as a reminder to everyone, you do need to be online for at least 80% of the meeting. So if, assuming I keep to time, which I will try my best to, this will be a 50-minute session, which means, of course, you need to be online for at least 40 minutes in order to get that delicious CCL credit. Actually, I don't know how they taste, but I assume they're very tasty. And we can check that through the Zoom attendance report. All right, let's actually get down to my presentation proper. So Mendeley, where do I start with Mendeley? I've been using Mendeley for, gosh, 7 or 8 years at this point. And honestly, I could not imagine writing a paper or doing anything, any sort of extended piece of writing that required citation and referencing without Mendeley, because it does save you so much time. Now, of course, you do need to invest a little bit in learning the tool, but that's why you're dedicating this time today, this afternoon, in order to learn a little bit about Mendeley. And it will pay dividends, I assure you. This week I've been doing some sort of honors project workshops for various students, and I've kind of been urging them to come to this particular session to learn more about Mendeley. So hello, if you're here, because I asked you to sign up earlier this week. But for a big project like an honors project, and if you're a year 1 student, you might not be thinking about your honors project right now, but learning these tools, learning these platforms now will really set you up well for when it comes time to do a big project like that. Oh, I'm sorry, I introduced you, Joanna. I didn't introduce myself. My name is Chris Chan, if you haven't seen me before. Hello. And I'm an Information Services Librarian here at the University Library. My contact information is on the library website, so please, I should probably show you where that is, because it's actually a little bit hidden, because I want you to know how to get in touch with me. Because if you have any questions about Mendeley, either after this workshop or later in your studies, next year, whenever, please do get in touch. And it's just under, where is it? Here it is, About Us, contact information. And if you go to the staff directory, you'll find me there somewhere. I'm here somewhere. There I am. Christopher Chan, I'm under my full name there, and there's my email address. So please do get in touch if you have questions later on about Mendeley, or anything else indeed about the library. But today we're focused on Mendeley. And our learning outcomes for this afternoon are as follows. So by the end of the event, I hope you'll be able to do the following things. Well, one thing I have left unmentioned there is sign up for Mendeley, but we'll do that in the course of the session. But more than that, I hope you'll be able to add items to your Mendeley library. Very easy to do. And then use Mendeley to help organize your research process. So regardless of your personal preferences in terms of how to organize your research, Mendeley can adapt to fit your existing workflows. And if you haven't thought deeply about how you prepare for an essay, Mendeley helps give you a little bit of structure in that regard too. And I'll show you some of the tools in a live demo. Last, but certainly not least, is to use the Mendeley Microsoft Word add-in to really easily manage and generate citations and add bibliographies directly to your paper that you're writing. This is really where the time-saving aspect of Mendeley comes in very strong. And that's always the most popular part of the Mendeley workshop is doing the sort of automatic citation generation, because especially if students have already had experience writing an essay or writing a paper, they see how much time and blood and sweat and tears that Mendeley can save you. But before I go on, I should address the fundamental question of what is Mendeley, because I shouldn't assume that you know what it is or where to get it or what its history is. Mendeley is actually quite a young company, so they weren't founded too long ago, as I said, probably about, well, I started using it 7 or 8 years ago, so it wasn't long after they were founded that I started using them. And they don't just do reference managers. They actually provide lots of different products and services aimed at researchers, and so researchers from whatever level, so undergraduate student researchers all the way up to PhD students, and then faculty and other researchers as well. And they've got a lot of products, but I'm only going to be focusing today on 3. The first is the Reference Manager. So this is a desktop app that you can download and install from their website. And don't worry, they have both versions for Mac and Windows, and we'll show you those in a second. They also have their web version of Mendeley. So you can actually get, certainly in terms of adding things to your library and organizing your references, all of that can be done from a browser. So you don't actually need to install the app. I do have the app installed. I find it a little bit more robust for certain functions, but you can use most of the functions of Mendeley just from a web browser. So you don't need to worry about it having it installed on your computer. And then again, last but not least, I keep saying that about Mendeley Cite. Mendeley Cite is an add-in. I think add-in is the correct term. Sometimes I call it plug-in, but I think the technically correct term is add-in. So I'll show you how to get that from the Microsoft Office store and add it to your Microsoft Word. And then you can start citing references and generating bibliographies directly from Microsoft Word, which is super handy. Now, one reason why we support Mendeley over other solutions, so you may have heard of some other reference managers like EndNote or RefWorks or Zotero, but we actually have a subscription to the institutional edition of Mendeley. So as a member of the HKBU community, you get some additional Mendeley benefits, and those mostly come in the form of additional storage space. So as we'll talk about later, Mendeley saves PDFs and everything else to the cloud, to your cloud storage. So they're not saved on your computer. And so there is, of course, a limit to the storage space. Now, the free storage, Mendeley does have a free version. For the free version, you just get 2 gigabytes. But as a member of the HKBU community, you can upload up to 100 gigabytes. Mendeley also encourages sharing, so you can have collaborators, you can have groups, and with the institutional edition, you will get higher limits on the number of groups, etc. Now, a big question we always get is how do we enable these benefits? And it's quite simple. You just have to be on campus. You have to be using either the campus network or a campus computer, and you just need to log in. And when you log in, you will have 1 year of the institutional benefits. And every time you log in, those benefits are renewed. So every time you log in when you're on campus, you will get these benefits. Now, I know because of the situation currently, you may not be coming to campus that frequently, or you may not have an opportunity to come to campus in the near future. But I would say, again, most of the benefits are in terms of storage space, right? And so to begin with, 2 gigabytes, the free amount will be totally fine. You don't worry too much about filling up 2 gigabytes in the near future. And so hopefully by the time storage becomes an issue, you'll have been able to come back to campus. So that's the first thing we need to do. Please go ahead and sign up. Well, let me walk you through the steps first. So signing up is actually super easy, and Joanna will be helping to put the links in. In fact, let me show you from the library website, because that's the easiest way. So from the library website, you can go through to Services, and then we have our Mendeley Guide. And I do want to show you the Mendeley Guide in all of its glory, because there we have videos, we have tutorials about how to use Mendeley. So I'm going to cover all of this in the session this afternoon, but if you need a reminder later, you can go and view those short videos. So to sign up for an account, there's a link here. To be honest, you don't actually need to use this link. This is simply a link to Mendeley.com. So if you go to Mendeley.com, oh wait, hang on, I'm actually logged in, so you will see a different screen to me. I'm actually going to log out of Mendeley. Let me sign out so they actually see, you will see what I will see, Mendeley.com. So this is the Mendeley.com homepage that you will see. And to create an account, very easy, up in the top right corner, it says create a free account. Now, one thing where people get a little bit confused is that they will try and sign in with their institutional login. Now, that will actually not work. Hang on, I need to quit out of this ID at Elsevier. You know what? I think my computer is doing too good a job of remembering me. So let me switch to a different browser that hopefully does not remember me. Oh, I need to switch my screen sharing as well. One moment. There we go. Screen sharing. Here. So I've changed to a different browser. So this is what you will see if it's your first time to that create an account link. Now, a lot of people will try and sign in via your institution, and they'll find HKBU here, and it will get to an error page. So don't do it. Don't do that way. I know it's a little bit confusing. Don't sign in that way. All you need to do to sign up for an account is just pop in your email here. So use your HKBU email address. Obviously replace that with your actual student number. Click on continue and just go through the registration process. It's very easy. Just your given name, your family name, the password, etc., and then click on register. So take a few minutes to do that. If you have trouble, let me know if you run into any error messages. But it should be pretty straightforward. While you're doing that, I will log back in to my Mendeley account. Okay, well, hopefully that's going well. Can someone, or if you've managed to do that, just say yes in the chat. I just want to make sure you're there, make sure you're alive. Thank you, Sunu. Alicia, great. Nikki, thank you. Excellent. So now I know people are there, they're alive. Good. If you're having trouble, let me know too. I mean, if you are, I mean, you can send me a private message, of course, if you don't want to reveal yourself in the chat. Great, looks like a few people have managed to sign up, so that's good. Don't worry if you're still in the process of signing up. I'll just go ahead and start with the first section. So your first thing to do with Mendeley is obviously add items to your library. Now, a lot of the examples I'm going to use this afternoon are of journal articles, so PDFs, right? So because for most disciplines, journal articles, the scholarly journals are a very important source of literature. So depending on what you're using, and by the way, probably for this demo or this tutorial this afternoon, you can just keep using the web version because I don't want you to spend time installing the reference manager, etc. You can do that later. But for your information with the reference manager, you can add things pretty easily. There's like this add new button in the top left-hand corner, or even easier, you can simply drag and drop the file into your window. And the same thing applies actually, same thing, on Mendeley Web, and eventually when you're logged in, you should see something like this. This is mine, this is Mendeley Web here. So you can just drag and drop things in, and I'm going to try and show that to you in my demo folder. I'm going to have to share my whole desktop for this, so bear with me because my screen is very big. So when I share my entire desktop, it will look very, very big. But hang on, new share, and desktop. So actually, I notice now I have already added this one, but here's another example. So hopefully you can see my whole desktop, and I'm dragging. It's going to be very small, but I'm trying to move it around so you can see it. So you can just grab a PDF that you've downloaded. You can see I've downloaded a bunch of PDFs, and just drag it over, and it will upload the file, and then it will appear there. So you can see that what I really like about Mendeley is it pulls out the information about the article, right? I didn't have to type any of this in. You know, the authors, the title. Now, one thing though is sometimes there'll be little mistakes in it. So you can see here, the journal title. Oh, sorry, you know what? I need to share just Mendeley because that's going to be way too small. Hopefully you can see that better. You can see here the journal title has, for some reason, screwed up a little bit. And that's okay. We can fix that. So you can actually open up the PDF itself in Mendeley, double check what the title of the journal actually is. And you can see here, this is from the journal Interpreting. So that's a bit small, but you can see it down there. So you can just manually fix that. So if there are any errors in the import, you can just fix that up. It's also missed out the page numbers. Sometimes that happens too. So you just look at your PDF again. So this is on pages 229 to 259. Oh, actually, sorry, it didn't miss out the pages. Just to put it in manually. There we go. So it's as easy as that to upload files to Mendeley. Just drag and drop or add it from your library. And yeah, you can see that there. Very important. You can see that hopefully in the top there. It's a little bit small, but you can see sync. So again, Mendeley saves everything to the cloud. A copy will be kept on your computer if you have downloaded the article on your computer. But if you added it somewhere else, it will just be stored on the cloud. So always make sure that you're synced. I mean, it will sync automatically regularly, but if you're paranoid like me, every time I add something or every time I change something, I always click there and it will actually sync with the cloud just to make sure that everything is saved. So that's a very easy way to add PDFs. So for journal articles, that's very easy. I do want to mention here OneSearch, the library's main search tool, it is possible to add things directly to Mendeley from OneSearch. Now, bear in mind, though, if you do this for a journal article, it will not automatically add the PDF. You do have to manually download the PDF and put it into Mendeley. So for me, it's actually, I think it's easier just to put a journal article PDF directly into Mendeley without going into OneSearch. But where this function does come in handy is when you're wanting to save something like a book, right? Or a printed book especially, where you don't have a PDF, but of course you still need to cite it, you still need to put it into your essay citation somehow. So the Mendeley button in OneSearch can be very useful for that, and I do have an example set up to show you here. So here's a book, Australia, a very short introduction. So anything you find in OneSearch, you will see this here, Mendeley. So send to Mendeley, and if I click that, oh, there's a pop-up that you can't see because I need to authorize OneSearch to use Mendeley, but that's fine. Just log in if necessary. You can see here now exporting to Mendeley, and then exported to Mendeley, Australia, a very short introduction. So if I go back to my Mendeley window and go back to my Mendeley library, you'll be able to see here under recently added, there is that book, Australia, a very short introduction. And again, all of the information from OneSearch will have been carried over. So city name, publisher name. Again, check it to see if there's something you need to add or something you need to change. Like for example, here, I'm going to be using APA style for all of these examples. So in APA style, we should use a capital letter for a subtitle. But yeah, usually they're just small changes that you need to make to the entry. And again, I get in the habit of just clicking sync every time I change something in my Mendeley library. So lots of ways to add things to Mendeley, all very straightforward, very easy, drag and drop PDFs, OneSearch. Other databases too that you use in the library, some of them will also have an export to Mendeley function. As I was saying here, this is just a reminder, Mendeley does do a pretty good job, especially for more recent references at extracting the details, title, author, page numbers, etc. But as I've said a couple of times, because this is an important point, do double check, correct them, add to them as necessary. Great. So I don't see any questions about that. So just take a couple of minutes, download something from the library, something of interest to you, whatever assignment you're working on, and just have a go. Just make sure that you're able to add a journal article to your Mendeley library. I'll give you a couple minutes to do that. And if you do have a question about anything up till this point, please do feel free to put it in the chat. Joanna, while we're waiting, do you use Mendeley? Are you a Mendeley person? No. Good. Then helping with this session will be good for you too. You can learn all about it. Okay, hopefully you've had time to do that. I'm not giving you too much time because it is pretty super easy. Has anyone who's been able to do that? Yes? Give me a sign. An emoji is fine as well. Looks like people are still working. I'll give you one more minute. Probably the most time-consuming bit will be finding a PDF. Okay, don't worry if you've not finished that yet. Oh, thank you for the thumbs up, Yantong. I appreciate it. There'll be plenty, well, you'll have plenty of time to practice afterwards, of course, but I'm looking at the time. I always get way too excited talking about Mendeley, and I extol its benefits for so long. I do want to make sure we get through all of our content on time. So let me talk briefly about organizing your material in Mendeley. You'll have noticed if you had a look at my library, I wasn't kidding when I said I've been using Mendeley for a long time. You can see all of my library here. And as I say in the presentation, you can create folders and subfolders. You know, I personally love using folders to organize things, so you can see all of my different folders in my library. And this is interesting. You can add references to more than one folder. So if an article is useful to one course, but it's useful to another course as well, you can put it in both folders. It can live there quite happily in two places. Let me talk too about annotations. So if you don't mind reading on a screen, and I'm okay with it. I know some people still like to print things out, but you know, I think that does waste a lot of paper. So I have gotten used to reading things on a screen, and if you can do that, Mendeley helps with that because you can do markups and references as you go along. So let me just show you that in the live view. Right now I'm using the, you know, I'm going to switch to the app version because I find that a little bit easier to use. Where's my app version gone? I've lost it. I told you I had too many windows open. Hang on. Oh, share. It's Mendeley. Here it is. So here's the app. You can see the app version is almost identical to the web version, and I think Mendeley's doing that on purpose. You know, they kind of want to align the two versions so you don't have to learn two different things. But you can see here. Let's find one of the. Yeah, here's the article that I just added earlier. So if you want to mark things up, it's very easy. The tools are up here in the top left-hand corner. So simple tools like a highlighter, so you can highlight text, and that's supported by most modern PDFs. Some older PDFs are images and you can't actually highlight the text, but I think this one is, yeah, it's a pretty recent PDF, so you can just highlight things and you can see there highlights. You can, lots of colors to choose from. A gray highlighter, that seems very boring. Let me try pink. Pink's a nice color. So yeah, you can just highlight things in different colors according to your taste. And more usefully, I think, although highlighting does have its uses, you can make comments. You can make annotations on particular parts of the article. And if you've ever, you know, I'm assuming that you have some experience with academic writing, you know, making these sorts of notes to yourself on an article, like where you might incorporate it into your assignment, you know, which section would it go into. You might say, like, oh, this will be, you know, good for the introduction, you know, things like that. And you can keep making annotations through the article, and you can go here to the annotations section, and you can see a summary of all the annotations you've made. And if you're down further in the article, you can click on your comment and it will take you back to where you made the comment. So very useful for organizing your thoughts about a particular article. If you want to make comments on the article itself, or, you know, more substantive comments about a group of articles, there's a notebook and you can create as many pages as you want. So I have my own notebook, well, several different notebooks actually. Here's the one that I created for a demo that I did previously. So here, and you can see I've actually quoted from specific articles. And if you click on the quotation that you've taken, it will take you back to that article. So this is a completely different article that's opened up, and it's taken me back to where the original quotation came from. And to do new quotations, it's simply a matter of, you know, highlighting it in the article. If I can select the right tool, ugh, you know what, let me go back to my original article that I was looking at. So this one here, and there's that option there, add to notebook. So you can just add a new quotation to your notebook and, you know, make whatever notes you want, which is super useful. Great. So they're fairly easy to use, simple tools. Oh, one thing you can see there, it's syncing. Every time I was making changes there, it will sync to the cloud. And these highlights, these notes, these annotations, they will go to whatever device you're working on. So if I assume, if I go back to my browser and I go to my online version, so again, it looks very similar. If I go to the stuff that I just recently added, all of those highlights and everything, you can see there. Again, it looks the same, but this is the online version. This is the web version. So you can see that my highlights and annotations have already carried over to this version of Mendeley. So all of your work is synced to the cloud, which is obviously very convenient indeed. So I've already talked about the notebook, so that's just for your reference in the presentation. I'm sorry, I've been talking too much, so I don't have time to give you, to explore it here. And to be honest, given that this is not a face-to-face session and I'm not there in person to help you with your questions, it's probably best for you to do that in your own time anyway. And if you have questions later, let me know, because I do want to make sure I have enough time to go through the last bit, which is the Mendeley Cite add-in for Microsoft Word. So for this bit, let me just go through the slides first, and then I'll switch to Microsoft Word. So I'm going to show you how to install the add-in. So it's through the Office store. Don't worry, it's free. I know you use the word store, but it's a free add-in. You don't have to pay anything. And once the add-in is installed, you'll be able to do neat things like insert citations directly into your text, and also insert bibliographies when you're done with your assignments. And this is really where the time-saving aspect comes in, because previously when I did bibliographies, even if I was using citation tools and copying and pasting things in, it still took way too long, and Mendeley can save you a whole bunch of time. So let me switch to Microsoft Word. Here it is, my Mendeley demo document. So obviously I already have Mendeley Cite installed and it's up there, but I want to show you where to find it yourself. So it may be slightly different depending on which version of Microsoft Word you're using, whether it's Windows or Mac. I'm on a Mac. But if you go to Insert, and then you will see this add-ins icon here, and it's the Get Add-ins option. Oh, this is opened up in a pop-up. Hang on, let me see if I can share it. Oh, I don't think I can. I'll have to share my whole screen. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. But there's this add-in window that pops up, and you just have to search for Mendeley in the store, and then you can add it there. But, oh, you can see it. Good. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. So that's where you'll be able to add Mendeley. And once you've done that, it shouldn't take very long at all to install into Word. Let me switch back to my focused view of Mendeley. And then Mendeley will be installed. You'll see it under References, and Mendeley Cite will be there. So to open it up, that's how it looks, and it will load up. The first time you open it up, you will, of course, have to log in to your Mendeley account. So just looking at the Mendeley Cite add-in, now you can see it displays all of your references. So I now have over 500 items in my Mendeley library, and you can see there that book that I just added 10 minutes ago, and also the journal article that I added earlier on in the demonstration. So I really love how everything is just, seamlessly synced in the cloud. You don't have to add things in different places. You just add it once in one place, and it's always there and available to you, which is very handy. So let's say I want to cite this book that I just added to my Mendeley library. Just pop your cursor where you want to put the citation. So I've put at the end of that paragraph there. and just select it, and then just insert citation. And that's it. You can see there it is inserted at the cursor. Oh, I forgot to mention, of course, the first thing you should do is select your citation style. So I tend to use APA style, and if you're in the social sciences or even in the Faculty of Arts, probably you have heard of this citation style before, APA, American Psychological Association. But if you're from another discipline and you need to use a different citation style, they have them all. So you can see here, Chicago style, IEEE style, Vancouver style. And if your style is not listed there, just click on select another style. And there are a whole bunch for you to choose from. Like, is Harvard listed there? Yeah, sometimes there'll be lots of different versions of the particular style, so don't worry too much about which one you pick. Like, you can see some universities have actually defined their own version of Harvard style, but any of those will be probably perfectly fine. But yes, I will continue with this demonstration using APA style, and APA 7, so the latest version of APA style. Let me show you a few more examples of inserting citations, because with any citation style there are often variations. So you can, for example, put two different citations in the same parenthetical citation. Sometimes you need to do that, and you can see that Mendeley handles that perfectly well. You can see with the inserted citation, two citations are included, separated with a semicolon, which is the correct way to do that in APA 7. Let me do one more. Let's put in Ferretti and insert that citation. Now, sometimes if you're quoting, right, or paraphrasing, you might want to include the, well, not might, you definitely need to include the page number, right? Because if you cite something, you need to say what page number it's on. So that's very easy to do. Here you can edit the citation, so you can see that there. So you can select the one you want to edit, and you can see there, page. There are actually lots of things you can define, but by far the most common thing that you'll be doing is defining the page number. So yeah, let's say this came from page 78. I just made that up. But if I click on Done and Save Changes, you can see that the page number will be inserted into the in-text citation as well. Now you might say, well, Chris, that's great, that's fantastic, but in-text citations are not that hard to do, which is true, but where Mendeley really comes into its own is when it is time to do the bibliography, because that can be very time consuming, and sometimes, if you're like me, I'm very indecisive sometimes. Sometimes I will cite something in my essay, but then I decide later, I'll take that one out, or I'll add it in, and your bibliography can become a little bit confused. I've often seen when I've marked papers, sometimes the student will have cited something, but it's not in the bibliography, which in APA style is incorrect, or it's in the bibliography, but it's not cited anywhere in the text. And again, in APA style, that's incorrect. So at least in APA style, it's important that your in-text citations match your bibliography perfectly. And if you're doing that manually, it can be very hard to keep track of. But if you do it with Mendeley Cite, you can be assured of a match, because you can, when you're done with your in-text citations, you can go to Insert Bibliography, and then insert the bibliography at your cursor, just continue, and you can see all of that's done. And again, it's correct, completely correct in APA style, including the formatting. So you can see the hanging indents correctly applied, and you can see that the bibliography is in alphabetical order by the author's last name. You do still need to check for very small things, like here, there should be a capital letter for the subtitle. What else? That one's correct. That looks correct. Oh, here, sometimes it will try and help you because in APA style we need to have small letters, right? We don't use title case, so that's correct. Those shouldn't be capital letters. But sometimes that doesn't help, because for proper nouns like East Asia, those should still be capitalized, again, because they're proper nouns. And here again, another example of a capital letter needed for the first word of a subtitle. But overall, very, very good, very clean citations. Now, Oh, that also is not quite correct either. So do check them for, you still need to know how to apply APA style. You still need to learn APA style citation, but it's a lot quicker, certainly quicker than typing them out yourself, and much quicker even than copying and pasting them over from a citation generator. Now, if for what, this should never happen to you, but if for whatever reason you actually need to change citation style, like for example, oh, my professor suddenly changed their mind and they want me to use MLA style. You can do that. So I've selected MLA 8 here. You can update the citation style and it will update your citations to MLA. So you can see now the in-text citations are different. The bibliography is different. You should never actually have to do that, but it's good to know that if I ever need to completely change my citation style, Mendeley makes that pretty easy to do. I'm going to switch back to APA 7 there. Great. So yeah, that's the most, I always save that till last because that's what gets people the most excited because, oh, especially if they've done essays in the past, they're like, oh, this will save me so much time. Are there any questions, comments about Mendeley Cite? Has anyone actually managed to install it? Were you able to add it in to Microsoft Word okay? No? Joanna, everyone's fallen asleep. Maybe I, oh, okay, Alicia said yes. Someone sent me a private message too to say that they were able to install it. Wonderful. Thank you for that feedback. In that case, I'm perfectly on time. Now, normally I would give y'all some time to actually play around with it, but again, since I'm not in the same classroom as you, it might be a little bit silly for me to wait for you to do that on your own. So let me take the rest of the time just to go through a few more Mendeley features. We don't have time to go through them in a lot of detail, but I encourage you to explore them for yourself. So there are other Mendeley features that I'll go through, just a quick bullet list here. There are mobile apps. So you can get Mendeley for iPhone and Android for phones and tablets. So if you like to read on your iPad or whatever, again, all of your all of your annotations and all of your notes will be in the cloud, so you can add to them from your iPad as well. So if you prefer, if you're on the bus or something, you can continue on with your reading there. Oh, Mendeley Suggest. This is a great feature. Especially if you're working on a project long term. Let me head back to my Mendeley library, my Mendeley actual homepage. Hang on, to my profile. Wait, not my profile. I'm in the reference manager now. I always forget how to get back to just Mendeley. Here it is. So from my profile, so this is out, you have to exit the library in the web version and just get back to your just Mendeley kind of homepage. And there's a feature here called Mendeley Suggest. So what this is, it's kind of like artificial intelligence in a way. For this to work, you need to get more entries, more things saved into your Mendeley library. Because what Mendeley will do, it will look at the things you have already saved and it will suggest for you other articles that are similar. So you can see here, these are things, I haven't saved these, but based on my existing Mendeley library, Mendeley thinks I might be interested in reading these. And actually looking at them, yeah, these are actually pretty interesting to me. Every time I do this demo, I feel, oh gosh, now there are a dozen more articles that I need to read. So you can see here, based on your Mendeley library, based on the things that you've already saved, we think you might want to read this one as well. And if you think, oh, that one might be good, you can add it to your library like that, and then it will be added to your recently added folder, so you can go back and read it later. Now, be aware, sometimes the full text may not be there. In this case, the PDF is there because this article is open access. So if I add that one to my library, the PDF should be added as well. Let me just verify that because I don't want to tell you a lie. So that's the IFLA one that I just added. Was the file added to? No, I told a lie. So the PDF was not added at the same time. So you do have to go and get the file yourself. And if it's not open access, one thing you'll need to do is check to see if the library has it. And in this case, yes, we can get it through the library. So I'll be able to download the PDF and just add it to my Mendeley library, which will not take too long. So that's Mendeley Suggest. And there's also a relatively new feature. I might need to get to it just by going to the Mendeley homepage. Oh, someone's saying that they can't see. Oh, thank you for reminding me. I have not shared the correct screen. Here we go. This one. There we go. Sorry about that. I get too excited about Mendeley. Thank you for telling me. So let me review some of that suggest stuff. So Mendeley Suggest here. And so again, it's just from your exit your Mendeley library and get to Mendeley Suggest, and then you're able to see these recommendations kind of based on, again, what you've already saved in your Mendeley library. You can review those here. And I think I wasn't showing this properly, so I'll show it again. If you do want to add it to your library, you can just click on the Add to Library button there, and it'll be added to your Mendeley library. To get the full text, you can check it from the library here. And in this case, we do have the full text of this document, so you just download it and add it to your Mendeley library. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it for Suggest. I do want to see if, yeah, I can show you this. This is quite a recent addition. You can see there it's asking me, what do you think of the new Mendeley search? Basically, what Mendeley search allows you to do, it's kind of a giant cross search. You can search everything that other people have saved in Mendeley. And there's some, sort of articles, people, groups. So this is kind of a neat additional tool, I would call it, in addition to things like OneSearch or whichever database you're using. But yeah, that's relatively new, so I haven't played around with it much yet. But it could be another useful way to discover new articles. I won't spend too much time talking about groups, but groups could be good for projects where you're involved with other students or other colleagues. You can use the groups function. You can have private groups, public groups, and when you have a private group, you can actually share the PDFs with each other. So your other members of your group, they'll be able to get the full text PDF. They'll also be able to see your highlights and annotations. So for working on a group project, it does have some potential benefits. To be honest, I've never really worked in a group, a Mendeley group with other researchers, but it sounds like it might be a useful thing. The last thing, again, just to introduce, is data sets. So if you are, perhaps if you're an honors project student or a postgraduate student and you're involved in a project where you're creating your own data, like if you're doing a survey, and if you feel like it would be useful to share that data with other people, you can do that through Mendeley Data. This is kind of very different. It's kind of a separate service to the Mendeley Reference Manager, but if you're working on a project, like a data management project, it could be of interest to you. All right, I have finished exactly on time, which is very rare for me, as I love to talk about Mendeley and get people excited about it. But I do have time for questions, if any. If you have a question, pop it into the chat. But while you're thinking about your potential questions, I do want to make sure you have time to fill out the feedback survey. So Joanna will shortly pop this link into the chat. So it's a very brief Qualtrics form. Should take you like 1 minute to fill out. Thanks, Joanna. So it's there in the chat now. So just click on that. The section code is 007. We're the James Bond section, the 007. I don't know if there are any James Bond fans in the audience, but yeah, easy to remember at least. So please take a minute or so to fill that out, and I'll also wait for your questions if there are any questions. wow, someone's already done very fast. If you are done and you have no questions, that is it for today. Thank you for coming. If you're worried about your attendance and stuff, don't worry. We will send your attendance to the Student Learning Experience service or system very soon. Your attendance at this event should be reflected within 1 week. If your attendance is still not reflected after 1 week, do feel free to send us an email and we'll check what has happened.